Here we are. What is up, everybody? This is Bacon Chris here, and I am back at historic Philadelphia again. It's a beautiful day outside. Still deciding what I'm going to do on this another historic Philly Bacon Chris Adventures episode. And there is no one in line for the Liberty Bell. So since the admission's always free, hey, let's go inside. Visitor Center. I'll see you later. Okay, Liberty Bell. No line. Why not? And then there's the old George Washington house before the White House was invented. Independence Hall. You remember this. Yep. No one in line today, and an open field to go in. Back to TSA. They got a private exhibit here. Really nice. Place to charge your phone. I just like looking at these artifacts. I love this window space right here. There's absolutely no exhibit here, so why create that empty space? An interesting picture. Old building.
That's it, yeah. It was put there in 1976 for America's 200th birthday.
Oh, nice. Now it's closer here.
It is, a little bit. Now, before that, it was actually inside of Independence Hall.
Nice. Wonder why they relocated.
Well, I think it's because a lot more people started coming by and visiting the building, and that'll be a little bit easier for people to do that if it was in its own building outside.
Interesting. Everybody's favorite part of the exhibit, the Liberty Bell. Would you take a look at that? Beautiful looking tulips they just planted. And there's Independence Hall. And that's the end of the exhibit. You saw what the exhibit's like in previous episodes. This place is getting ready for spring. So this is Chestnut Street. And then there's Market, where they have the beer garden. What am I craving for today? Obviously, I am craving cheesesteak. Of course, I love cheesesteak. So I'm thinking about many different options, such as Tony Luke's, John's Roast Pork, Pat's King of Steaks, been there, done that, Angelo's Pizza. I pretty much like Tony Luke's, so I mean, I had Tony Luke's, but Tony Luke's was never in a Bacon Chris Adventure episode. And that also excludes the ballpark. So yeah, let's go inside the Independence Visitor Center, see what I'm going to do today. More beautiful looking tulips. began at Independence Visitor Center with free exhibits and so much to do. The gift shop. It's almost Eagle season. Too many hoodies. Just got a Dutch Wonderland in the previous episode. Eagles, bears, cannons, and telescopes. Water bottles, got plenty of those. And they even got a new menu. Everything has changed. New Hall Museum. Might be a new exhibit. Yep, you remember these. Congress Hall, wonder what that is. Liberty and enslavement. There's the president's house site. You remember the Benjamin Franklin Museum from the BCA 15? Rack or repair. Just came out of the Independence Visitor Center and I am just gonna go to this Wawa. You know, the largest Wawa that's there. Grab a little bites and, well, I do need to charge my phone a bit, so let's go. It's right here. There's Independence Beer Garden. Must be 21 or older to purchase or consume any alcohol. Independence Hall. And here comes the Wawa. Gotta have a Wawa. What I'm gonna get at Wawa this time. Wawa, I decided not to get something way too expensive like a sandwich because I want a good cheesesteak. So I got some pickles, which were $1.89. And then I got these pepperoni and cheese. And I got myself a Fritos chili cheese beef stick. Gotta have a Wawa. These pickles right here taste way better than what you get in a pickle jar. Well, here's Congress Hall right here. And yeah, obviously the Independence Hall. George Washington. The tour box. Comes.
Welcome aboard.
Who doesn't like a top view?
Yeah, the view is really great up here, and we have great weather today. It feels great to be out in the
But I
sun.
brought myself an apple to eat.
It's not working today?
Yeah,
Okay,
this
it's
is
been
the
on
box.
our way. We are
Oh,
starting
ho, ho, ho. That's what I'm talking about.
coming up here on the right. We have the Museum of American Jewish History. The statue out front of this museum represents religious liberty. It's one of the largest statues made in the 19th century. It was made by a Jewish sculptor. The organization was not able to raise the oldest continuously used synagogue in the United States. That statue out front is the first Jewish Commodore of the U.S. Navy who helped combat anti-Semitism in the armed forces. Religious liberty was a big theme for the early settlers in Philadelphia. They were affiliated with the Quaker religion. They came here to start a new life and to
There's the
escape
cemetery that
persecution
Ben
in Great Britain,
Franklin's
just like
buried
many
in.
of the founders of other places here in the U.S. that you may be familiar with, like the Puritans in New England. Here on the right is the United States Mint. Philadelphia was the first capital of the United States, and so government buildings like the Mint, oftentimes their very first incarnation, the first version of them was here. That includes the Mint. There are 4 mints in the United States nowadays to turn out in his 20s and became sort of an out. It's always sunny in Philadelphia. It's actually a real place. And it's very sunny today. I don't know if it's always sunny, but it's very sunny today. I'm happy about that. The bridge you can see here coming up is the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. It is named after, of course, the most famous resident of Philadelphia. That is Benjamin Franklin. We will learn a lot more about his life as we go along. Among his other achievements, Benjamin Franklin was the first fire chief and organized the fire department here in Philadelphia. Take a left, you can see the Fireman's Hall Museum. That is a museum about the history of firefighting and fire departments. If you know somebody, perhaps somebody young, who is very interested in fire trucks, that's a cool place to visit. Working class residents of Philadelphia, including William Eltham, who was a blacksmith. Great way to explore and learn about what life was like for people back in those times. As we make a right here, we will be able to see the Grossman Furniture building. It's just a furniture store, but what is interesting about it is that this building used to be the home of the famous writer Edgar Allan Poe. Of course, Poe spent a lot of time in Baltimore, Maryland. He's associated with Baltimore as well, but he lived in Philadelphia for a solid chunk of his life, and it was there in that building that he wrote his famous story, The Telltale Heart. That is looking like a no. Doesn't look like anybody's getting on either. You probably know the legend of Betsy Ross. She is said to have sewn the very first ever American flag. That is possibly not necessarily the truth. Betsy Ross was not famous during her lifetime. She became a much bigger deal after the centennial, the original centennial, 1876, the 100th anniversary of American independence, when her story was sort of rediscovered and retold. Still a very cool museum. If you don't believe the story, you can learn all about what life was like during the Revolution, see some reenactors of Revolution-era professions, and learn about what life was like for women during that time period. Betsy Ross was actually a Quaker as well. She was born into the Quaker religion, but she was read out of meeting, which is their equivalent of excommunicating, because her first husband was not a Quaker. Their meeting house. Quakers do not meet in churches. They do not have clergy. They do not have priests. The meeting houses are places where every member of the community can come together and everybody has an equal right to just say whatever is on their mind, talk about their experiences, however they would like. Well, it was partially made out of keys. These keys were collected by local school children for help in this project. Franklin is commonly associated with the symbol of the key because of his famous scientific experiment that he tied a key to a kite and attracted a bolt of lightning. So many people believe that Franklin discovered electricity, which is not quite true. There were other people theorizing about electricity at that time. But what Franklin did accomplish is that he proved that lightning in the sky is a form of the mysterious force of electricity. Sometimes, certain days, you can see there are coins left out on top of the tombs here. People flip coins onto the tomb in honor of Franklin's famous saying, "A penny saved is a penny earned." Just nobody for the Constitution Center. So, this museum is dedicated to the U.S. Constitution, which was written several hundred years ago and is still the foundation of the U.S. government. It's human nature to wave at the double-decker bus. I wave to people all the time. Larger facility, getting a bigger building pretty soon up on the Museum Mile on the Ben Franklin Parkway. So check this museum out while you still can, while it's still here. They like to kidnap people, they like to steal gold. In China, they are symbols of masculinity, wisdom, intelligence, and the power of the ruling family. You can see they have little antlers on their heads. They are very kind of naturalistic looking dragons. I think if you look at them, you get a sense of what dragons might look like if they were real creatures. You can see that the artists studied how real immigrants went into at that time. The most famous thing to see in Chinatown is, of course, the Chinatown Friendship Gate. It was a gift to the city of Philadelphia from our sister city in China, which is called Tianjin. In return for their gift, they received a model of the Liberty Bell to have a piece of Philadelphia with them in Asia. As you take a look to your right here, you'll be able to see the Friendship Gate. It is made entirely of interlocking pieces. They fit together with friction, just like Lego. No bolts, rivets, or screws. Absolutely breathtaking. That's a real photo op for you right there. Nowadays, Chinatown has been
All you can eat.
There you can see businesses like Pizza Road. If you look right inside, you'll see. You can still see that is where the architecture is from. But the Reading Terminal Market nowadays is a food market. It has all kinds of delicious things to eat. Anything that you might want to try, any local specialties you can think of, you can find them here. We have some people getting off at Reading Terminal today, I believe. Do we have anybody getting off? Okay, terrific. Yes, we will let you off. Up at the sculpture garden, that's going to be a little bit away. It's going to be up here on our right. We will be stopping.
Be really cool if the place dropped me off at the cheesesteak place. But it has its stops.
One of these, lots and lots of stores and places to shop. Back then, just as true as it is today.
Hard Rock Cafe. And Iron Hill.
Our turn to the right, we will see the most famous building in Philadelphia, the City Hall. City Hall was originally meant to be the tallest building in the world, but during the time during which it was being constructed, two other buildings were finished, which are taller. They are the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C., and the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. So it is City Hall is indeed one of the largest masonry buildings in the world.
Macy's.
And City Hall is still functioning today as the seat of the local municipal government. It is still in use as a municipal building. Yeah, I believe that's right. You can see there's the air conditioning because it's an old building. It doesn't have central air. But
They should not call John Wanamaker.
Place you can go and visit if you want to see the inside, see the architecture, very historic, and you can learn about the Freemasons, who are not builders, but they are a sort of secret society, a sort of fraternity that emphasizes individual moral conduct. Statue out front of the Masonic Lodge here on the right shows hard work working on the printing press. You can see some reenactors doing it in Old City. That was Franklin's original trade when he first came here from England.
Wow.
And here is the Love statue. Here is Love Park here on our right. Is anybody getting off at Love Park? Anybody for a stop? Parkway, they represent the different countries that people came from to settle here in Philadelphia and to make it a diverse and multicultural city. They're all arranged in alphabetical order with a few exceptions, so that'll help you find a flag that has meaning to you for a great photo. Is anybody going to be getting off at the Cathedral Basilica? Cathedral Basilica of Saints Peter and Paul? Doesn't seem like we have any. The Cathedral Basilica is going to be visible here on our right. This historic cathedral is the center of Catholic worship and Catholic life here in Philadelphia. Of course, Catholicism is mostly practiced, or it is frequently practiced, I should say, by people from Poland, and there are some monuments to Polish national heroes here. Look on the right, you can see the monument to Copernicus, who is up at Logan Circle. Logan Circle does not look like anybody's getting off. The statues in the fountain here represent the three rivers of Philadelphia. They are the Schuylkill, Delaware, and Mississippi rivers. The sculpture here was actually created by the son of the sculptor who worked on City Hall. That was Alexander Philip Calder. These statues were made by Alexander. Libraries were not always free. Libraries used to charge a subscription service. So you just have to pay to subscribe to get your books. The free library is one of the first ones to be free, and obviously was a trendsetter. Part of a sculpture with a religious theme. If you look past the thinker through the gates, you can see there are black doors leading into the front of the museum there. That is the sculpture the thinker was designed for. That is the gates of hell. The gates of hell burned down very easily. He wanted the city to be fire resistant, so he promoted the building of brick buildings. Anybody for a stop at the Eastern State Penitentiary? Sounds like a no. Be sure to take a look as we turn towards your right. You will be able to see just how large this building is, just how imposing it is. It is a massive compound. Eastern State used to be a prison, but was discontinued from active usage as a prison because it was just too difficult to maintain. It was just too much of a hassle to keep this very large building in operation. Nowadays, Eastern State is a museum that talks about the history of this specific prison, people who were here and what life was like for them. Take a look to the right. It's massive. Eastern State will educate you about what prison was like here for people in Eastern State and about what prison means for broader society and culture, including up to the present day. Eastern State gift shop. Anybody getting off at the Perlman building? This building here on the right, this is the Perlman building. Doesn't look like it. Absolutely breathtaking Art Deco architecture. This was an insurance company's headquarters. They went out of business. The Philadelphia Museum of Art bought out their building to preserve that lovely facade so that everyone can enjoy it. That statue portrays Joan of Arc, the hero of the 100 Years' War. Tired and feeling very accomplished, you could pose with Rocky, get your victory shot. Unfortunately, that caused too much crowds, too much commotion outside the entrance to the museum, and it was too much of a hassle for them to deal with. So eventually, Rocky was moved to this spot down here at the bottom of the steps.
Rocky Balboa
It's very interesting looking, you know, it's got the
Art Museum.
Seems like we are hopefully finally getting around. We are finally starting to be able to move and get out of here. The Mural Arts program, which takes people who would be in prison for vandalism and for graffiti. And, sorry, but not right now. Those train tracks lead back to the 30th Street Station, which in addition to City Hall is the other major hub of public transit. You can get to and from almost any part of the city. Over here in this section are about WrestleMania, getting people excited for that. As we get a little bit closer to the City Hall, we will start to see some posters for the Penn Museum. We won't go past there on our bus tour, but I would recommend it as a very cool thing to see and do while you're here. Penn Museum is a museum of ancient civilizations, of anthropology and archaeology. They have a great collection of Egyptian antiquities. You can see they have a poster there featuring a sphinx. You can see all about the ancient Egyptians and see mummies on display from ancient Egypt at the Penn Museum.
Oh wow, they got fountain.
See the giant clothespin. This sculpture by the pop artist Claes Oldberg is one of his many sculptures of small things at large sizes, which make you think about them differently. It shows, some people say that it looks like two people embracing for a kiss. And that the metal clasp looks like the numbers 7 and 6. That is because it was put up to commemorate the bicentennial in 1976. Arts venues, a lot of great places to see a show and to be entertained. Take a look on the right, you'll be able to see the Union League building, this building with the beautiful staircases. They were founded to raise money for the Union Army. That's the northern side of the Civil War. The Civil War soldier statues outside this building commemorate that. And you can see the one historically, it was the original home of the Philadelphia Orchestra. The Philadelphia Orchestra were tasked with recording the score of Disney's Fantasia. And it is right here in this building that all of the music for Fantasia was recorded. Here, this is the Wilma Theater. They specialize in promoting the work of young up-and-coming playwrights, especially women. The Wilma Theater is named after the fictitious sister of William Shakespeare. Over here on the right is the Kimmel Center, named after the philanthropist Sidney Kimmel. Great place to see dance, Broadway, comedians, all sorts of performers. And here on the right is the University of the Arts, the alma mater of Julian Abel, the architect who designed the Museum of Art. Like I said earlier, they have both visual and performing arts programs side by side. The mascot of the University of the Arts is the unicorn. That is a symbol of human creativity and imagination. To create something new, something which does not already exist in our world. Take a look up top at that white painted area that is round. That is the surgical amphitheater of the hospital. That was where surgery was performed on people. They would perform surgery from the hours of 10 to 2 every day when sunlight was strongest. They needed that. That was very important because electric light had not been invented. And that was the only light by which they could
The official birthplace of Bacon Crisp.
This is the right. You can see the old Pine Street Church called the Church of the Patriots. The abundance of American flags in the tombstones there. They represent the final resting places of American Revolution soldiers who died fighting for American independence. This church on the other side doesn't have any flags, which is because it is the Anglican Church. It was favored by the Loyalists who supported the other side. They thought that Britain should retain control of the colonies, which explains the lack of flag. Front Street. The Quakers thought nothing should be first before God, so they called it Front Street instead of First Street. You will be able to see the masts of a ship sticking out there beyond the trees. That ship is the USS Olympia. That ship was decorated during the Spanish-American War, and it was also famous for bringing home the remains of the unknown soldier back from Europe. You can tour the USS Olympia with a ticket to the Independence Seaport Museum. Anybody getting off at the Vietnam War Memorial?
Fun tour. Glad I got on. Now it's time for me to go to Tony Luke's. There's the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Nice looking memorial here to remember veterans who die. Some construction happening over at Spruce Harbor Park. Lots of new construction happening here at the park. Hammocks will be out. It does feel like the boardwalk, but no restaurants there are open. Not even some good old Chickies and Pete's. So I'm taking the 25 bus down to Tony and Nick's Steaks. And I sure do hope that they have chargers. The bus is running a little late according to the SEPTA app, but I'm sure that I'll get there in no time. It smells so good in the city. Oh yeah, here comes my bus. Here comes the bus. Doors are closing. And the movie theater. Burger King. IKEA and Miller's Ale House. I love Miller's Ale House. I've always liked IKEA as a kid. Yep, and then there's Walt Whitman Bridge. Just got off at the 25 bus and I accidentally missed my stop, but I am actually close to Oregon Avenue. Is it hot in here or what? Walt Whitman Bridge. And then Tony Luke's is on my right. So the only two bridges that I've driven from Philadelphia to New Jersey are the Betsy Ross Bridge and the Walt Whitman Bridge. Whenever I get on the Walt Whitman Bridge, I always feel scared getting on to that bridge because of the way it's designed. I mean, I've been on Ben Franklin and Tacony Palmyra bridges, but I just never driven on them. Betsy Ross Bridge is the bridge that I take to Jersey most of the time. Do I see up ahead? It's Tony and Nick's Steaks. Tony Luke's is the same thing, but they actually changed the name from Tony Luke's to Tony and Nick's. And there's also other Tony Luke's Steaks locations, but they decided to make the main one Tony and Nick's. I don't know why. There's I-95, which I'm about to go under. Here I am, Tony and Nick's Steaks. I remember as a kid, it was called Tony Luke's. And this was one of my favorite childhood restaurants in Philadelphia. Wonder what I'm gonna get today. Here's the menu. Eating pickles at Tony Luke's is like eating peanuts at Five Guys or Texas Roadhouse. And they're delicious. The best part is about Tony Luke's is that you can get unlimited pickles. So I got pickles and Arnold Palmer. So over at Tony Luke's, I got myself some sauteed spinach. These are mozzarella sticks. And that's marinara sauce. And this is curly cheese fries. Good. And then there's my cheesesteak. This is some delicious spinach. I definitely highly recommend getting spinach over there. Here, this is my cheesesteak from Tony and Nick's Steaks. And it looks absolutely delicious. I love their cheesesteaks. They're the best. One of my favorite things to do with these french fries is drizzle some hot sauce on them for a real sporty kick. That cheesesteak from Tony and Nick's Steaks really did hit the spot. And it tastes way better than what you get at the stadium. All right, so I accidentally took the wrong bus to get to Penn's Landing, and I'm gonna take an Uber. Yep, there's gonna be a new park and these stairs are getting demolished. Got myself a basic caramel sundae with vanilla ice cream and whipped cream at Franklin Fountain, and it looks delicious. And I'm gonna eat it. All right, guys, it is time for me to go home. I had a great day today in historic Philly, taking the tour bus and seeing the Liberty Bell. And I'm glad I got to do Tony Luke's. Or is it Tony and Nick's Steaks? That's okay. But I will see you guys in the next adventure.